To the town of our free rode a stranger one fine day. Hardly spoke to folks around him, didn't have too much to say. No one dared to ask his business, no one dared to make a slip. The stranger there among them had a big iron on his hip. Big iron on his hip. It was early in the morning when he rode into the town. He came riding from the south side, slowly looking all around. He's an outlaw, loose and running, came the whisper from each lip. And he's here to do some business with a big iron on his hip.
Welcome everyone, I'm Dylan, your host and creator of the Dungeon Dwellers Adventures. I'm joined by my fellow Dungeon Dweller Gregory, along with some esteemed guests from the recent Fallout fan celebration in Good Springs, Nevada. Tonight I want to take a moment and go around and let everybody introduce themselves. Matt, we'll go ahead and start with you.
Hey everybody, showing up for a few times here. I am one of the contestant winners of the Fallout fan celebration cosplay contest, and as Dylan has deemed me, one of the lore experts.
All right, Nick.
Yeah, I'm Lazarus of Death. I am community manager for the Modus Files podcast, and I had, excuse me, and I will be attending the West Virginia Fallout fan celebration, which is coming up very shortly. So I hope to see most of you there. And Lazarus of Death on Xbox, if anyone wants to join me in gaming sometime.
All right, and we'll stick with the Enclave and move over to Major.
How's it going, everyone? I'm Major Stein, or XO1 King. I'm one of the voice actors for the Modus Files, and I will also be attending the West Virginia Fallout fan celebration. I'm looking forward to seeing a lot of you there.
Lucky Ducks. And then we also have joining us tonight two new members, Shadow.
G'day everyone, my name's Daniel. I do the voice acting for Shadow in the Modus Files. G'day from down under.
And a good old crikey on back to you.
Oh, crikey, mate.
We love it. And also joining us tonight for the first time is Just Wanya.
I'm Just Vanya. Thank you for having me on board. First and foremost, I'm a modder and a former game dev, not for the Fallout games, but game dev in general, streamer, and I also voice act on occasion for mods.
Fantastic. Greg, you want to do yourself a little introduction too?
Yeah, I'm Greg. I live in California. I do Dungeons and Dragons, the Dungeon Dwellers. YouTube, so I play Kush right now in the dungeon group, and then I play myself when we do the Fallout RPG. So it's a lot of fun. I'm here to see what it's all about. Checking out the podcast or show, whatever this is.
And Greg was my other fellow Minuteman that first year, which was tough. There weren't a lot of us.
Oh yes, that was a good year.
So we're going to jump on into the analysis of Season 2, Episode 6 of Fallout on Prime, The Other Player. This was a interesting, very interesting and revealing episode. I felt like there was a lot of buildup, but also some tension release too. But we just keep getting more and more theories out of these episodes. So I want to know some of your guys' gut reactions to the episodes, and then maybe specifically about the super mutant reveal, with a shout out to Ron Perlman, and how that lived up to the hype of some of the preview trailers we saw before the season started. If anyone wants to go first, go right ahead.
I was just happy.
Go ahead.
I was just happy it was Ron Perlman's finally on the scene with not only a super mutant, but an intelligent one. So it makes me wonder if that's Marcus. But being in the somewhere in the New Vegas area, it would probably have to be. There weren't too many highly intelligent ones.
Someone from Jacobstown for sure.
Yeah, definitely.
I think
And then Matt.
I know I said it in like either like the first or second episode, but apparently the echoes of my words reached out there. Thank God, Bethesda, you didn't make Ron Perlman Gorus. I am so happy about that.
Definitely. He was I knew, my girlfriend and I knew like 2 words into it, like, is that's Ron Perlman. That's crazy. Major, what do you got to add to it?
I think I'd like to say that it's full circle that we have Ron Perlman as a super mutant within it, and it shows that the narrator for the video games from like 1 till New Vegas, it was like it could be that this is the super mutant that's been chronicling all of the events that've been happening within the Fallout universe post-war.
Yeah, that's pretty interesting. He's been there the whole time,
Just lurking.
just lurking.
Plot twist, he's actually the leader of the Enclave.
Oh, oh, that's super plot twist.
Yeah, that's going to be a no.
I'm gonna put a pin in that. I might come back to that.
I just think it's interesting that he's been finally given a decent role to enter the Fallout universe, other than just the narrator of War Never Ends. So, moving forward with his obviously intelligent super mutant, it's going to be nice to see where his path had been to where he is now. Because, we got Marcus. We do have multiple other intelligent super mutants. If you look at the semi-canonicity of Tactics, there was a lot of super mutants that were quite intelligent in that. So it's either a rare intelligent super mutant on the West Coast, or are we going to move more central Fallout US and find more intelligent gangs walking about,
And speaking of it, in his involvement, I'm sure he got paid a lot more than $40 and a sandwich for this performance.
Hang on, so he's got 4 games, 4, 8, 12, 16. So he's obviously got 80...
$160.
Obviously $220 and 5 sandwiches. That's the baseline he's got to accept.
That's right.
I bet he got some good bloody sandwiches, I'll tell you that.
Yeah. For the viewers, what's the reference on that?
Oh, so when Ron Perlman was approached to do the original War Never Changes intro for Fallout 1 back in 1999, I believe, they offered him $40 and a sandwich. And he accepted that deal.
That's a good deal. I take that deal. How about you?
I take that deal.
I take
I'll
that
take
deal.
that deal.
Damn right, it's a good deal.
And
Juan, you got any thoughts?
Nothing that would add something to this conversation productively. So no, everything has been said that needs to be said.
How about on the episode as a whole? What was your general takeaway from the episode?
Well, I'm very easy to please when it comes to Fallout. Even when things don't line up, I just usually am like, well, maybe there is a reason for that we'll, reveal later. So, before we started this whole episode, we briefly talked about like the free sites opening hours, you could say, where I also thought like, okay, why can't you just wander around like that, and freeze it in the middle of the night as a super mutant? That seems kind of a bit weird to me. Overall, it's a very, very intense episode, though. I really sat there and it was like a pregnant nun because it really has some spice in there again, but they do have a great job on that. But for that thing, I was a bit taken aback by that, but then I thought, maybe a fight happened or something, or maybe they'll find an explanation later during the series why he was walking around in the first place. Because we had things already in season 1 that were a bit of a question mark that they answered now in season 2. So just go along and see how it turns out.
One of the thoughts in my mind specifically for that scene is You see a canonically 10-foot, super mutant, or even if you don't know it's a super mutant, just this behemoth of a person walking through the streets in the middle of the night.
Mm-hmm.
You're probably going to take a pass and walk the other way.
Yeah, dude.
Quite likely.
Yeah.
Closing the door looks like a good option right now. Just wait till it passes.
Wait till it passes. I don't need this tonight. I'm going to go drink.
Actually, there is another super mutant that you can find within Vegas. They probably confused that super mutant for it. Mean son of a bitch that was a guard in Northside.
That's true.
We'll probably reach around back to him, I think, because it wouldn't do justice just to ignore him. I'm sure with the trailers showing everyone in bloody Freeside all ganging up, I'm pretty sure we'll see mean son of a bitch again. I mean, if they don't, they're just going to piss off the fans.
Can't do that. We need our Fisto. We need our mean son of a bitch.
I'm
not hard
surprised
to please.
Fisto. Oh, sorry.
Oh, I said we're not hard to please.
Ain't that the truth? I'm surprised Fisto is not in the Wrangler and he's out in the middle of a bloody little tuck shop, roadside attraction.
Well, it's not out of the realm of possibility that that was that little taco stand was within the range of the Atomic Wrangler.
I thought it was more on the outskirts, judging by the
Could've
look of it.
Sounds either way like Fisto's doing house calls.
The Garrett twins aren't obviously happy with that.
I don't think the Garrett twins are back in charge of the Wrangler.
My point exact. They're not happy.
Yeah, they both of them were the OG bartenders, and now you got this new guy talking about whoever's managing the strip. He just don't want to pay taxes.
Understandable.
Real.
So as far as the locations go, we do see, with the exception of Freeside and the Strip, that a lot of these locations are much more spread out than it feels like in the game. So being on the outskirts could be, in game somewhere kind of logically closer, but in reality feels a lot further out.
True.
So how did we feel with the conclusion of episode 5 and the ghoul getting impaled, and then his predicament going into this episode? Was this just like visceral gore or cool things?
I think this was more like that trope of one of the protagonists has to find the strength to win the day or whatnot, but he failed miserably because he couldn't reach the top. He had to get saved by a ghoul or by a super mutant.
Can't do everything on your own sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think Laz puts it pretty much on point. What more can really be said on that?
I think it would have been
On
best
point.
if we had some conflict. Okay, that was a good one. I think it would have been best if we had some conflict with the people in Freeside interacting with him as he was struggling to get himself out, because Ghoul being pushed out of a window and being impaled is probably nothing new, but it would have been nice if he would have tried to force someone to help, pulled out the mare's leg that was on his back, and then people maybe distracting, punching and kicking, and then taking all of this stuff away to show that he is in a helpless situation and no one is coming to get him.
That was actually something I was actually curious by, that they didn't show Freeside being the Freeside that we know, where it's all for one and one for yourself. I was expecting him to be mobbed and everything stolen and these vials being smashed. Not just sitting there, pun intended, not just sticking around on his back and just everyone walking past him like his decoration.
Some might use
also,
it for decoration, though.
The potential for, yes, he's stuck there, but you have a ghoul turning in the middle of Freeside seems to warrant a little bit more than just walking
Urgency.
past him, you know?
Yeah.
Active avoidance. Get too close and you might get pulled in and eaten.
Yeah, I was kind of thinking it was something going to be at least similar to that. When it came to him turning, I mean, we've kind of seen it with some of the definitely with the Brotherhood of Steel up until this point in the show. We've seen that distaste for, at least in their speak, abominations and such. We've really seen a hate for them come out. So perhaps this was kind of like a overall demonstration of like, oh, look, a ghoul got impaled. Anyway, on with my Tuesday.
Well, it's interesting that he got a piece of uranium shoved right into his big hole in his chest. So I'm wondering if he's going to turn into a glowing one.
I had that exact same thought.
No,
Oh yeah, it's stuck. It's stuck in there as it like healed over him.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think he's going to turn into a glowing ghoul. It's kind of counterproductive for him to be the bounty hunter if he's going to be walking around at night trying to hunt someone, and they look up and go, "My goodness, that glowing thing's getting closer."
Now, on the
Walking
flip side of that, his regenerative properties are going to be amplified at this point.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so he's one step up badass than he was before.
Yeah. Well, he would need to because his spine got completely severed.
Yeah.
It's just a flesh wound.
His call sign is going to be Nightlight.
Glow stick.
We're going to
feels
keep
right.
breaking his back every day.
So, moving a little bit away from the ghoul's predicament there, we see more of where Lucy's ended up, where she wakes up, she's got the press 0, when you're awake, and decides to just go on her own way. She's not with the program, she's going completely against it. How does Lucy confronting Hank about Shady Sands pan out to you guys? And did his justice pitch sway you guys a little bit, or is he still too far gone in your eyes?
He's playing her, bro. He knows her, and he knows just how to manipulate her. I think he knows, just what to say to get her on his side. He's obviously shown that he's not a good guy, and and then I think you gotta trust what he's done in the past, not his words now. I just hope Lucy sees that.
I think he's somewhere in between. I think he does realize that maybe he did make a mistake in bombing Shady Sands, but at the same time, he's got a plan to move forward with, because you did see on his face like he was relieved that Lucy did not change, or that the Wasteland did not change Lucy fundamentally. So,
Yeah,
but
it seems more like he has. Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
It seemed more like he has regrets that he was caught, not that he did the thing that he did, essentially, which is a classic narcissistic trait, and I feel like that's kind of like the anecdote that we are getting here, the kind of storytelling that we are getting there, the lecture that they are posing there, because he has done very, very wisely in like talking to her in a way where she's seeing her dad and not like this monster that he is to some degree. So I feel like could be interesting to see how that further pans out.
As it came to me, I don't know, his whole trying to convince her speech made me feel like a bootleg antagonist from a 007 movie. You're trying very hard to convince someone that was, one, your daughter, and two, has seen you do heinous things. I doubt that she's going to try and be convinced otherwise, especially when she put a scissor to your neck.
Yeah, the thing is, I've seen, as people go into very, very deep topics now. I will just leave it at that. That I've seen plenty of things like that before, and people still then hugging the guy who they rejected in that moment. It's just a very complex situation, as we are very complex beings after all. Our mental world is just very unexplored and very complex in itself. So yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if she still would turn in some way again, because it's just when you have somebody who you really feel that bond with, especially like a parent, coming from a household with similar situation, it's just very hard to let go, even when they do the most obvious thing, because sometimes you're just blind. That's just how it is. They did a great job at, like, you know, deceiving you, making you blind, and still doing their stuff, and your love is just greater than your senses sometimes, and that's just a very hard lecture to learn. So yeah, I've seen it before with people. I wouldn't be surprised if they would lean in on that further too. But on the other, I would be very happy, of course, if she really has found her why now and knows how to deal with it.
So putting yourself in her shoes in that control vault with the demo of the mind control units, from the Legion soldiers that she runs into in the hallways to that final climactic moment where she has to push the button to save this other gentleman while at the same time wiping his memory. How did that make you guys feel, or did that maybe possibly sway you guys a little bit?
I found that to be quite horrifying, to be honest. Like, you can see where Hank is trying to do this. He's trying to show her, like, hey, we can save everyone. You just got to push a button. And it's that same mentality of the pre-war government when the bombs dropped. You know, we're going to save the people, but to do that, we got to push a button. It's, you know, the road to hell is paved with good intentions, but at the same time, they're wiping the slate clean.
Mm-hmm.
When the bombs dropped, it was literally wiping the slate clean. But now it's push a button, and you as an individual, as the person, you're gone. You're now part of a hive collective. And
Yeah, because go ahead.
yeah, I just find that absolutely horrifying that no one has, like, if it was the personal decision, you held that button and you're like, I don't want to do this anymore. I want to be click and then live this utopia mentality, then go for it. But the fact that Hank was like, no, you got to push the button or they're going to kill each other. You got to push the button. You got to push the bang. It was a forced situation, and I found that absolutely horrifying. Like, why?
Yeah, well, the thing is, of course, if she, like, he's right now playing with her to make her do one mistake, because that's something that he can hold against her then, and, like, make her feel bad about herself, and, like, basically, yeah, victim shame her, and, like, kind of get her more on board, because somebody who makes a fundamental mistake like that is more likely then to be convinced of, like, yeah, okay, I guess I'm not knowing it better. And yeah, exactly, like, he knows exactly what he's doing there. And
you already pressed the button once, keep doing it.
Yeah, exactly, yeah.
Yeah.
Now, with that in mind, we do see a slight moment of either hesitation or maybe not regret, but when Hank sees Lucy put herself in the middle of that and become the subject of the violence, he genuinely looked concerned.
I definitely think that has a place within Hank, kind of piggybacking off of what we were saying earlier. I definitely think it has a place because they do share that close bond. As, like, deranged as it was, as we saw earlier in the season, I think it was like episode 2 when we watched the bombs go off and we watched Hank, like, washing his hands and go, like, I really just did that, and then go and read to his daughter, which horrifying scene. But then tying it into this, I think that he genuinely does have a love for her, but I don't think it takes as much of a priority of his position, especially with, like, as her putting herself as I wouldn't necessarily say a mediator, but an intercessor, or trying to be an intercessor in the middle of that conflict between the two, and then out of conflict resolution, pressing the button and then causing everything to go quiet, and then having that stunned reaction of, oh, I just watched this guy trying to kill me, and all of a sudden now he's stuck. He's not there.
To just go off what you're saying, Matt, it's interesting. Hank's position is interesting because he's obviously, he's pre-war. He's got that mentality of what has to be done, what needs to be done. But at the same time, he's a father just wanting to protect his daughter. And that's why I like seeing him always talking about family when it came to the test subjects.
Very good point.
He's a man that's stuck in the middle. He wants to do the right thing by his daughter and show her that the world is not an evil, excuse my language, an evil, fucked up place. But at the same time, he has his own responsibilities and duties to follow, and he has to go through with it all. So he's a man stuck in the middle.
Exactly. And that actually has kind of made me analyze Hank's character more in just kind of like a literary fashion, kind of pinning it up on the board with all the yarn and seeing where he's connected and where he's not connected. I think his mindset boils down to one simple ideal, and that is, I'm the good guy.
Yeah.
Because we saw him complaining about factions, and he goes, oh, well, everybody hates each other, and if we can just get everyone basically under my thumb, I'm the good guy. I'm trying to do right.
I'm the hero in my story.
Exactly.
I think when it comes to Hank, he's a very good example of fear the devil that you know, but fear the angel with the best intentions. He thinks himself like this great hero, but like even an angel is a monster in someone else's story. Mm-hmm. And I genuinely believe that concerned face that Hank gives, like when Lucy was fighting that legionary, was staged. And I do believe that this whole thing, he could have pushed the button. I'm pretty sure he had a little remote in his pocket at any time, but he wanted Lucy to do it. And this may have been a test for her for a role in management. If she pushed the button once, that means that she could do it again and again and again until she's desensitized.
That's it.
Mm-hmm. Only takes the first step, and then the floodgates are open.
Aye.
Yeah.
If you can do it once, you can do it 100 times.
Seriously, once she pushes that button, he has a reason to stay at that role, and so that's why he was definitely playing with her and trying to get her to do that. But it's a very good point with him staging the reaction as well. Yeah,
but also
it's going to be interesting. Oh, sorry.
Real quick, to cycle through when it comes to the little control devices, it's like in episode 1 of season 2, it was genuinely creepy on how intimate these devices are. And it would be even creepier if you find out that McClane is either doesn't know, or he's lying in the fact that their memories are quote unquote erased. I would not be surprised if the devices turn off and then you hear people rambling around and saying oh God, I can finally say what I want to say. They're just trapped in their own minds. What is it? I have no mouth and I must scream.
Mm-hmm.
And we have a new guest. Laz, can you introduce us?
Oh, sorry. He's being a pain now. This is Dixon.
Hi, Dixon. Cat meat.
Yeah, buddy. Death Paw.
Death Claw.
No, Death Paw. Paw.
Paw.
All right.
But yeah, as you're saying, bloody oath, that's horrifying. Being stuck in that body, you're watching, you're speaking, but you're the one in the back seat. That would be.
So on that point specifically, I found it very interesting with the scene leading up to that, where they were kind of almost semi-casually talking about the All Quiet on the Western Front, and how that whole book, movie, story was, centered around the disillusionment, the desensitization of the effect of war and conflict on a person. I don't know if y'all caught on to that.
No, definitely caught on. So even though he was mentioning the book, we all kind of knew that they were both talking about the Wasteland itself. And, obviously she found the Wasteland to be very upsetting, but she hasn't seen the whole thing yet. And she doesn't know much of what's going on, but he does. And, so it was a great little scene.
I think it's interesting to see that he brings up the book, and even though she hasn't read it, he's trying to impart that message of like, oh no, look, everything's violence, everything's chaos, death. We've got to take things in a non-violent manner. That's why I think that leading up to the pushing the button scene, he's, as we've all just said, part of me wants to think that he's just a father wanting to ensure that his daughter understands that, you can't make an omelette without cracking an egg, but at the same time, he's using her desire for political, diplomatic non-violence as a means to get what he wants in the end. So the book is the symbolism of, hey, look, this is what we know. And then he turns to the scene and goes, now let's sort it out the way that it should be done.
Yeah, I feel like it's like both of these things at once. Like for one, him having a matter of pressure for her in that regard, of like showing her like, oh yeah, we can do this one little violent action, and then all this big violence, is no longer there, like sacrificing those few people to like save the rest of the world kind of story. And then the other very, very amazingly told there already with the desensitization. It's a hard one. It's a hard word. Excuse me. Silly German. I don't know English. Me no English. It's bloody hard yakka, you could say.
Bloody hard yakka, mate. Got to put the mate at the end. Otherwise, it doesn't work.
I think for me, when it comes to... Oh, wait, who was talking?
I was talking.
Go ahead.
Oh, if you want to touch on that, it'll be the last one, because I will have something else I want to move on to.
Oh, okay.
Oh, yeah. Real quick. I think it would have been better for that scene, or maybe it's just like me with storytelling, if Lucy had also brought her own copy of the book. Because, they said that they both do the book club, how her father's book is a lot more worn and like really like read through like maybe like dozens, hundreds of times, and Lucy's book is still, it has like its edges and stuff like that, because like she says that she skimmed through it, but the father has been, like you guys said, like through the Wasteland countless years before her, so he's read that book left to right to left, and like no corner of that book is like has escaped his gaze, so it doesn't really matter to him.
For sure. So I did want to move away from Lucy and Hank and back into the vaults, where we see a little bit of action happening with the Vault 33's wedding drama and the inbreeding group shutdown. That's some Fallout comedic relief if I've ever seen it.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
What better way to know that you're getting married is seeing it up on the bulletin board that it's going to happen tomorrow.
I know, the next day. Oh my god. that was pretty funny.
And a quick welcome to our late arrival, Sassanash. Ça va?
Yeah. Sorry. When I said at home, I was meaning a little bit outside. I had to run.
That's okay. Welcome. We were
Thank
talking
you.
about the Vault 33 kind of wedding drama going on and the inbreeding group shutdown. Definitely finding out from a poster, and God bless him, my favorite, Lear Leary, like your wife.
Nice guy.
Oh, I'm
Almost
sorry.
Canadian.
Your fiance.
It leads to the question: if we're going to get married and we find out by a bulletin board, does that mean we're going to have to find the bulletin board if we're going to get divorced? Come join us at the divorce of these two wedding people. It's only been 1 week.
Chet just makes his own flyers and posts them right over all of the wedding invitations.
No, it's
Canceled.
it's on a public terminal, and then you have like the option like send to all.
Reply all.
But
At everyone.
at everyone. I will say this much: when it came to just how disillusioned this like snack club guy is at his self-importance, really goes to show like the vaults have like a not so good management when it comes to their people.
I think it's more of the current situation at hand, because prior to the water chip being damaged, he was just an everyday person in the vault with his little support group. And the moment tragedy strikes, he's like, "Hey, I'm a responsible vault dweller. I'm following the rules that we set, and in my rules that you signed off on, I get this." And it's just an exploitation of power. He's seen an opportunity, he's gone for it, and he's trying to put himself up as the I'm an important person, because while everyone else gets a smidget of water a day, I get all the fucking food. I get all the fucking salty goodies in the water I want, because it's in the paperwork and you can't cancel it.
And I want to add to that. I think we actually see Reg's story arc as far as this goes. Start in season 1, where we see that he wants to be an important person. He runs for overseer, and even at that point, he has so much self-doubt that he votes for Betty.
But yeah,
But that's no longer the Reg that we see in the vault. And to be honest, to me, I find him extremely annoying in the current state that he is. He is, I think, disillusioned with himself, and I kind of think the piano scene before the vault security comes in kind of doubles down on that, where he has this whole idea in his mind that he's the man, and he is really not. He's not looking at the bigger picture.
the delusion of power. He wants to be the one of the figurehead, but if it does happen and the responsibilities come hit him, it's going to be like a sledgehammer to the face. He's not going to be ready for it.
Yeah. He's gonna be very
that and everyone does
overwhelmed
want
with that
to see-
task.
And everyone does want to see him get punched in the face. I know I was.
Yep.
I will admit, I was very unhappy with how he manhandled that jelly mold.
Yeah.
What a waste as well. Like, he just nibbles a bit of it. It's like, "Eh."
Like,
And
look at
even-
my power! Punches a jello mold.
And even when he started to do that, and you saw like some quote unquote support from the support group, they kind of just looked at him as like a bit crazy.
I have a little confession. Those of you in the group that saw the Jello cake that I made, I was eating a piece when I watched this episode, and I grabbed a piece of Jello and shoved it in my face too.
Hey, if you're all alone and you've got the Jello there, you gotta replicate it once you see it.
You might as well.
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah.
are you really living if you just eat it civilly?
What's the fun
No.
in that?
That's it.
But that's the part you should have recorded.
An
real
honorable
question.
mention,
Oh, go ahead.
as far as what was kind of hinted there about Reg follows all the rules, we kind of see in Vault 32 what happens when you follow all of the rules, as Woody did not make it to his checkers game.
Oh yeah,
He was kinged.
poor Gordy.
Woody was voted off the island, apparently.
Where would Woody go?
Woody was voted as the new incinerator inspector. He had to crawl right in the back. The overseer
The
was
compost.
watching.
My theory is that he's not dead. He's actually frozen inside one of the empty cryovaults.
Yep.
But it would be interesting if someone, I don't know, maybe a reluctant overseer that has difficulty with a terminal kind of messes with his cryopod, and if you open it up, it's rotten meat.
You know what's funny about that theory is there was an analysis of Fallout 4 and all of the families that made it into the vault. If you tallied up the amount of cryopods versus how many people were slated to be in there, there is actually one extra. And if you, I believe, find a terminal log, you discover that that one is for dead bodies.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Well, someone in the vault, dies. Someone on staff and security. They don't have an
Can't just go
incinerator.
outside.
No.
I'm sorry, I thought we were in Fallout. I did not think that we were going into Dead Space.
Wait. You just mentioned something that makes quite a good point. What if Woody ended up outside and just on his own?
He'd be pounding on the door. Let me back in.
That would be a fun plot twist for Norm's story arc, certainly. But I don't, the odds of them running into each other, kind of slim.
Mm.
I feel like he's just like sitting on the steps outside of the vault going, well, now what? I think I'm just going to sit here.
Objectively, we can all agree that Woody is basically that one person in the community that's a good pencil pusher, but he's not going to do much, at least on his own. Like, he is someone that wants to be led. He is no leader.
Mm.
Well, he tried and he failed. He was in that vault overseer election.
And how did we kind of bouncing between the vaults and the flashbacks? How did we feel when we discovered the water chip issue, where they get to potentially, we don't know if she did, but pick which vaults get the faulty water chip?
Mm-hmm.
Now, that to me feels like a
was
retcon. Horrifying, yes, but it feels like
You know what? Maybe she really is part of House's calculations, because when she could have chosen the water chip for 13, and then all of the events start falling into place for after the events of Fallout 1 because she chose 13. But every single time that she would do something significant, House made a mistake thinking it was somehow Cooper Howard.
So wait, you're telling me it's all Barbara?
Yeah.
Always has been.
There's also now the thought that if this was deliberate and the percentage of the failing water chips were sent out, why did Vault City get so many working ones?
That's a great
Because
question.
lore-wise, they have an entire level just full of water chips in crates. So
I have a bit of a theory on that one. Well, we can sum that down to faulty logistics. Vault-Tec was known to experiment on the vaults. I'm pretty sure that when it came to, supply and demand, some of these things got backlogged. All of these things got sent away. I would not be surprised if Barbara tried to do, or someone else that knew about the water chips decided to, run push some paperwork here and there and send the good ones to what they believed were the controlled vaults, and vice versa, thinking that the bad ones were sent over to Vault City. But that's just me guesstimating.
Then again, with all the logistics behind Vault-Tec, Vault 13 was supposed to get a bunch of spare water chips, and Vault City was supposed to get the extra GEC. So it just goes to ask the question, what else got mixed up out of everything,
Could it have been alternatively, could it have been like an alternative experiment of sorts where it's like, are vaults going to do trade? Because we do see the one overseer in the first Fallout go, all right, you out of all these people go out and find one. And I'm wondering if it was like, oh, is this going to be a level of commerce, or is this going to be vault war essentially?
That is a good question, because I think Matt can back me up. I think you can back me up on this one. Canonically, Vault 13 is now a known location because the Lone Wanderer actually went out to the hub. I think it was the hub, and had the water traders deliver water to the vault itself.
Yep.
And the Overseer was completely pissed off by that. He didn't want trade. So I personally don't think that it was a Vault-Tec experiment. I think it was just bad logistics pre-war.
Yeah, that makes total sense.
And they're just adapting to what's available for them, which is send out one random vault dweller and go, hey, here's the Vault 15, go get the chip. What do you mean the chip's not there? Shit, go find a chip. Why are you delivering water to us, you idiot? Now everyone knows we're here.
Yep. Choosing one guy to go out. One monkey don't stop, no show.
That's it.
Also, wouldn't be the first time that we see errors like these. If you think, for example, of Vault 88 in Fallout 4, from the Vault DLC, that also has like the backstory that they simply kind of didn't have the logistics and kind of forgot about it and were very late with everything behind schedule. So it's very, very likely that this would be what was going on.
Well, you make a good point with Vault 88 as well, because as we see, due to bad logistics, there's quite a few vaults that we come across that aren't finished or, aren't entirely put together, like 88. If I'm not mistaken, weren't parts of 81 also not put together, or was it all put together and then it was sealed off? I can't remember.
It was put together for the experiment of the mole rat disease, so they had like the secret separate vault to it.
Right.
So I think that's what you were thinking of there. But yeah, we had plenty of vaults being unfinished. Yeah.
Wasn't the vault that was in the subway in Boston? What was that number? What was
114.
that one? 114.
Yeah.
That was barely completed by the time the bombs dropped as well.
Yep, and I believe, if I'm not mistaken, I believe the experiment on that one was like a bunch of rich people in that area around the Boston Commons, and then having one like crazy homeless dude run the entire thing.
114.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yep.
Who also was like a conspiracy theorist and
Soup Can Harry.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Had no real name given, no legal name given, really.
Rich people.
Braxo box is telling me not to eat it. They can't tell me what to do.
Rich people living in a communal vault with a complete nut job of an overseer.
What could go
What
wrong?
could go wrong?
Sounds familiar.
I want to know how many vaults Vault-Tec looked at and just went, okay, this one's an actual experiment for actual data. This one's for fun.
Wait, there is one actually that's described as fun. I think it was 14 adults, 6 children, no doors were able to lock, and there was a hungry panther on the loose.
Yep.
Yep.
Oh my god.
I don't know that vault.
Yep, it's one of the canonical vaults. Well, canonical.
Yeah, we haven't
Because
seen any of the games yet, but it was
If they
referenced.
add that, they have to add Vault 68 and 69, and we all know what those vaults are.
Yep.
I mean, we do have confirmation that the vault with the crate of puppets exists.
Oh,
Yeah.
7.
Yep. So because of that comic strip back in Fallout 3, those other vaults were actually based off Black Isle.
Black Isle Studios, yeah.
Yeah,
Yes.
Black Isle Studios' original Fallout Bible, which listed a whole bunch of vaults, and that was one of them.
And we've also seen reference to the vaults to this. I could definitely see the more not necessarily useful, but like the data that would be taken off of voting basically voting the one person off the island as a sacrifice each and every time, which I think is also referenced with the lottery that we see in Nipton. Where it's like, all right, well, you got to vote one person, and then they serve their term, and then they're out.
But if we're talking about the vaults and how the Enclave ties into this, the little control chips are starting to make a lot more sense. That they probably saw all the data that were from the vaults and seeing that they couldn't really trust people to really make their way out of these conditions. So maybe the control chips would be seen as like their last ditch effort to control, quote unquote, the American people and rebuild like civilization their way.
Right.
So I love that, and we're definitely going to dive into the Enclave a little more. But I want to jump slightly back on track with the flashbacks, specifically Cooper Howard's conflict with his wife, calling her out, and also Cooper's little sneaky roofie to Hank. Specifically how the scene between Cooper and Barbara made you guys feel, especially knowing what we know now about Barbara's position and how maybe not childish, but like how he is kind of resentful or reluctant to show her the type of empathy for the position that she's in. So how did that make you feel?
I feel that we don't see a real explanation between them yet. At first, when he was searching for his family, for his wife, in all others episode, I was like, he want to get his daughter back, and I mind he was with her. What happened? But I think that at the moment when his wife will tell him, it will happen. It was about to happen anyway. But I have take part of it to be able to protect you and our daughter. That's it. We could just have closed our eyes and die with everyone or be part of some project, but I have make sure we were protected. And maybe he will just forgive her for that and understand her position because she's a mother. Even if he told her, yeah, but the other's children's. But at one point, he will have to look at this daughter eye to eye and say in his mind, I will kill you if I don't accept what your mother do. And a real loving parent, can't do that.
Yeah, it's definitely a situation where you're against, between a rock and a hard place. There was no leeway for her to get out of that position, nor can she go out and go, hey, everyone, this is going to happen. Because at that time of the world, she's just a commie trying to stop the war and just let commies take over. Let's just push her aside and then she gets taken out. For her to break down like that and go, I'm doing all this because I have to. The lesser of two evils. One path you're going to die, or the other path is you're going to survive. Yet you're going to kill a lot of people. And she has to make that choice as a mother, because she, every parent wants their kid to survive. Every loving person wants their partner to, live. Especially if something's going to happen, you can't stop it. you do what you can to make sure XYZ happens for your family, and she's going to have that survivor's guilt kill her every single day because she has to make that choice. And of course, nothing went to plan and everything went to shit when the bombs went off.
Which I think
That wasn't.
Oh, go ahead.
Which I was just going to say, which wasn't part of the plan that she was riding on for everything to happen correctly.
I would agree with you on that, which I might be stating the obvious here, but I think what you said, where it's like, you're kind of picking the lesser of two evils, whether, you're taking a hand and dropping the bombs, or, you're siding with the group that's going to put you in a pod for management. It's either way you look at it, it's the lesser of the two evils. And with that being said, I think that's definitely where Barbara is coming from, but I think that also justifies, or at least that line alone justifies, Cooper's way of thinking of, yeah, it might be the lesser of two evils, but it's still evil nonetheless. And it's like, if you have a hand in this, then why don't you just outright stop it? And then, I might be jumping the gun here, but we kind of see that little interaction between her and Wilzig in the elevator, which, like I said, I might be jumping the gun on that one.
Sorry.
Do we feel like Barb's participation when she catches Cooper trying to get the cold fusion from Hank is somewhat of a redemption, or maybe not an admission of guilt, but some type of like remorse?
I think it's remorse.
absolutely.
It made me think that maybe their divorce was actually planned to throw off the Enclave.
As a way of like protecting him and their daughter.
Yep.
That could work.
Interesting.
I didn't even think of that possibility.
I actually, when I was seeing the arguments, him and Barb, it kind of reminded me of one thing. Well, two things. The first being, if anyone has seen like the first MIB movie, a person is smart, people are dumb, panicky, dangerous animals. Cooper is basically the dumb, panicky, dangerous animal because he now knows like what his wife is up to, but Barb is also like a pawn in the game. But she's been a pawn long enough to know where she needs to control her steps. That's one thing. But Cooper in this situation is not thinking the most rational. And it really does show that House is probably right on Cooper being the result of the end of the world, because he's
Reactive. He saw the problem and he's like, oh shit, we got to stop all this. We got to whatever. And then Barbara's like, yeah, I know what's happening. Let me work with it. I'm going to try and sort it out.
But I wouldn't be surprised if Cooper is also like in this time frame having a lot of imposter syndrome, where he acts as this, bounty hunter and stuff like that because he tried to be a hero and he failed. And even House says, you pretend to be a cowboy thinking that it'll matter, or you pretend to be a hero because he didn't kill those communists. The Deathclaw did. He didn't save his best friend. Something else did.
Victim of circumstance.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes.
Now, I genuinely have a question, because maybe I didn't pick it up super well. But while we're on kind of the topic of that little moment of Barbara, Coop, and the very unconscious roofied Hank, I guess my confusion lies in, why was the cold fusion in his neck and they had to pull it out of him? Was that like how they were going to hide it? Was just the gun going to be in the case? Because by that point, it was already presented to House, wasn't it?
No, it wasn't. It was, I think that for security reasons, you'd have to have that little fusion pill. I think we can refer to it as.
Sure. Cool.
The best way to hide that pill is to hide it inside you. And if someone that wasn't part of the deal, you know, managed to
Tries
take
to
Hank
steal the
down,
case.
steals the case, what are they going to be left with? The fuck am I supposed to do with this motherfucker? You know, only those who are part of the in the know.
Right.
So
They
I
do need.
which we got to see with Coop going like, what the hell is this? Because he probably picked it up and was like, why am I holding a tattoo gun? You know,
That's it. You know, it's all part of the what's the word I'm looking for here? The deception. The deception. What is this? Why is Voltec so insistent on protecting what looks like a giant tattoo injector gun? Oh, this is useless. Toss it away. And then, you know, cleanup crews come in. Oh, yeah, there's the carrier. He's dead. All right, check his neck. Yep, it's still there. All right, next person.
So I want to tie this into the next point, being we see, obviously, with Barbara's knowledge, Cooper Howard getting the cold fusion out of Hank's neck. Now, we already know that the Enclave ends up with the cold fusion. And by recognizing that gun, that's the same technique or procedure that Wilzig uses to carry the cold fusion. We also know that Robert House does not get his hands on cold fusion. So where does cold fusion go from here?
you know, that's a fascinating point. Something that's always stuck out to me as a continuity error is the remnants of the NCR from Shady Sands, the Brotherhood of Steel, as well as Mr. House, all have the same technology to work cold fusion. So at some point, it looks like it was either. I mean, it doesn't look like salvage tech what they're using it for, like we see in Area 51 and like we see in the Griffiths Observatory in LA with the the remnants of the NCR, Moldaver, and all of that. So I'm thinking with cold fusion from here, it's going to be a point of contention between basically every faction we've seen thus far that hasn't taken themselves out. Nothing against the Legion, but I don't think they'd have any use for cold fusion anyways. So I think going on from here, at least where the cold fusion has ended up in Max, it's currently in Max's hands, or at least where I'm assuming it's going to be the same one. Either that's going to be moving east, or I guess my guess would be those two, both him and Thaddeus, will be intercepted in some case by an Enclave remnant, would be my guess.
I want to backtrack on what you just said before, how we're all talking about, all these factions have this technology. I don't think that's the actual case. I think House had the technology, yes. The only reason I saw the NCR have it is because Dave, was her name? Dave. She's pre-war. She knew the tech existed, and she would know where the tech. Sorry, invented the tech. She would know where the equipment would be, and the fact that the Brotherhood got it, I don't think that they had the tech. I think they just, when they got to the observatory, they just went, "Hey, this is our tech now, yoink!" And they
you make a very fair point.
They just, the Brotherhood always had the fusion tech. But to go back to the actual deployment of the fusion technology, I think whatever happens with Cooper handing it off to whoever pre-war, I believe that's the same chip that Wilzig gets in the end, but they couldn't turn it on because you needed the access code. And Hank, in each chip, from what I've seen, each chip has a corresponding person to have the corresponding activation code. So while he might have been able to set it up in the outpost that he was researching it in, put it together, and then initially start it up, for it to actually run, you need the code and the proper equipment to authorize that activation. So Moldave the inventor knows how to turn it on, knows how to run it, has the programming, but she doesn't have the access code. So that's the reason why, in my theory, fusion technology isn't so widespread, even post-war, because you can't turn it on. You might have the switch, you might have the technology, but unless you've got the code to be able to flip the switch, it's just a pill in a bottle.
Now, has it been confirmed that she was the one that maybe not patented it, but finished the development of it? Because if that's the case, then that would explain how she made it into the Wasteland,
Yes.
at least the Wasteland area.
Yeah, sorry.
I think I got like an idea as to how multiple people have their technology on mass fusion, and this circumvents back to the Enclave. Does anyone remember the mission from Fallout 4 Mass Fusion?
Yes.
The CEO that created the beryllium agitator for the cold fusion generator is Carl Oslo. Oslo was a former employee of Poseidon Energy, and we all know that Poseidon Energy is an energy company that was controlled by the Enclave, such as the Poseidon oil rig. So it's highly possible that the reason why the Enclave wants cold fusion is because Oslo was still working for executives of Poseidon, or i.e., working for the Enclave, which is why he wanted to push that agitator so quickly. Basically, cold fusion to see that it works to get his quote unquote contract. I'm pretty sure that was like his way of making sure that he and whomever else he wanted secured before the big kaboom.
One thing I want to bring up as well, I didn't mention it. Vault-Tec bought out Moldave's company before it was publicly announced. So for all purposes and intents, they might have been successful, but Vault-Tec went, we're going to hold on to that, and we're just going to keep it suppressed and quiet. We don't want anyone to know that we have infinite energy, because, Vault-Tec and everything that they did could show that they were planning themselves to be the controlling faction with unlimited clean energy once they came back up onto the world stage, so to speak.
Which raises a question that if they did buy out her company, that would have made her maybe, bringing her on board with Vault-Tec. And we've seen that, I guess, 33 had been opened before with Lucy and being brought to Shady Sands. Maybe not, not Shady Sands, but it would have been Shady Sands. Excuse me. We see, I'm thinking that Moldaver might have potentially been a prior overseer, at least at one point, or at least a resident there, or a resident thereof.
Just got to double check something quickly. Because wasn't she good old wiki?
We see her prior to the bombs, and then we see her after the bombs as a Wastelander.
Yeah, but wasn't she part of the anti-war protest as well?
Yep.
So part of me thinks that she might have been on board with Vault-Tec, then her own personal views caused Vault-Tec to go, nah, we don't want you no more, you're out. But she kept that proprietary knowledge of how to turn all these devices on, so to speak.
Yeah.
So because we got to remember, there is the billboard for cryotubes in Vegas.
At the tops.
At the top. So part of me thinks that she might have just gone to the tops and hopped into the cryo facilities there instead of being part of the Vault-Tec system, and has basically been jumping in and out of that cryotube for all this time until it was time for her to finally act. Maybe it was when Lucy's mother took both her kids up to Shady Sands, that she happened to be there and went, hang on, her husband is Hank. Now I know where to go to achieve her own ends.
To circle back when it comes to the cold fusion and everything else, I'm not sure if anyone else had noticed this. Did anyone else find it strange that Hank seemed to be very curious or on board with some of the stuff during the beginning episode when Barbara was being shown the disillusion people, like showing the products for the vaults, like the water chip and things like that, and suspiciously he looked very curious and interested when House's body double mentioned cold fusion.
Yeah, but I'm not sure where I can fold that in.
I think that's just more young. What's the word I'm looking for here? Genuine interest, because he's only a young man at that point in the company. He's excited. I'm all part of this. I'm part of it. Ooh.
Now this is the thing that we know about Hank itself. He's a manipulator. He's a schemer. Schemer. But it just makes me believe that Hank, especially the person that he was speaking to on the radio, Hank may be an Enclave agent, and his whole point of being Barbara's assistant, the young and I'm very curious person, ambitious, is to play the dumb role, so in that way he can watch over what Barbara does, and if Barbara ever steps out of line, he has communication for the Enclave to go hey, pawn 3 is going out of place.
So I want to interject a little bit in there to mention something else. I love how you guys brought up the fact that we still don't know how Moldaver survived. The idea of maybe a cryogenic, in the chamber in the tops or somewhere back in the Los Angeles area. What do you guys think about the possible theory that maybe she is also involved at some point with the Enclave?
Well, she
wouldn't surprise
me.
Huh? Wouldn't surprise me if she was part of the Enclave.
Well, Wilzig was defecting from the Enclave and bringing her.
Anybody else losing him?
Yeah, we're losing him.
Yeah, we're losing him.
Nick, hold on one sec. You're cutting out there a little bit.
Yeah, the Enclave knew immediately. We have to cut this one down. That's going too far.
Yeah. Well, we got another defector right there. He said Enclave defector, and they just his feed.
Cut him.
Yeah, Major. Why don't you take the for him for a second? Unless Nick, do you think it's working again?
Yeah, it's working.
There he is.
Slightly. It's working slightly again, but no. Wilzig was an Enclave defector, and he was meeting up with Moldaver to give her cold fusion. So at some point they met. And yep. I guess he recovered cold fusion for her and just waited for the prime moment to escape the facility.
Now, pre-war, Moldaver is the one that sent Cooper Howard to Vegas to potentially kill House, which would then leave no reason for cold fusion to end up with House.
I think it was just the intelligence gone wrong, because it was, even I had to admit, leading up to the episode with the confrontation between Cooper and House, I thought House was the bad guy, and I'm like, all these years of defending House for Vegas, am I wrong? And the fact that once we were able to, see the actual him talking, he was, everyone has their opinion, but I think he was the good guy trying to do right. And he wanted that fusion tech to protect Vegas and as much civilization as possible while extending his own life. And I just think that other people were looking into that, Moldave and Wilzig and that, like, oh, hang on. He's wanting fusion tech and he's building up all these defense silos. He must be part of the plot that Voltec is trying to implement. We got to stop him. And
I would actually... Oh, sorry.
No, yeah, sorry. And I would just go on that assumption that they made an assumption that he's going to be part of the end of the world, and they want to remove him in order to delay whatever Voltec or other governments, other shadow governments were planning. But shit hit the fan.
Yeah.
I'd like to point out that when it like in the last episode, I made it clear that House is a very egoist and like he's too smart for his own good. That's probably why the Enclave never sent him an invitation. And it wouldn't surprise me that Moldaver, if she was working for the Enclave and didn't know it was the Enclave, it could have been like, a benefactor to these these veterans and like people of industry that got kicked out, and they wanted them to do their dirty work to get rid of House because House was seen as a problem.
The outlier.
Yeah.
A liability.
And in exchange,
he would be a big liability.
yeah.
Sorry.
And in exchange for doing this, Moldaver had access to cryotech to freeze herself over for the foreseeable future.
Vanya, you got any thoughts on it?
I know you are a big guy about the Enclave and all, but I have some difficulty. Maybe it's my vision of the Enclave as more of a sub-government over the government things, and Moldaver is against all the government and all the company and all. She is more a woman of the people, not someone like John Hancock wanting to protect the people, but she have those kind of reunion to try to wake up influencer and all. I don't see it. That's not the modus operandi of the Enclave at all. Maybe I am wrong. I just listened to you all, and you have so much more information than me about it all. But I don't feel it. I don't think she is with the Enclave. Maybe I am wrong. Sorry.
I could imagine though that she could have been still utilized by the Enclave against her own knowledge to some degree. I mean, it's nothing that we don't see happen ever, that secret government organizations like that like to go on like covered operation to like hire the people from the other side in quotation marks to take themselves out technically,
Shell companies and all that.
exactly. So I feel like that theory is not too unlikely, that she was used basically by the Enclave without knowing that it was the Enclave. Yeah, it could well have been.
Is something more, I think, that can be possible. She's being used, yes, but part of, I don't think so.
Yeah.
Fair enough. It was a wild out there, but with everything that you guys were saying, I'm like, the gears started grinding. I want to move on to back to kind of the Ghoul story arc and how it ties into Maximus and Thaddeus, where obviously we see the Ghoul there asking for his medicine, and he's like, "Dog meat, get my medicine, fetch, boy." But
I have hat.
that's if dog meat could talk, that's exactly what dog meat would sound like.
I have hat. I good boy.
Yes. And then takes off to find these other familiar smells that he knows because he's been a companion of.
He's just bringing everybody together.
Bringing them all together. Dog meat ties the games together for sure. And how do we think that unlikely trio is gonna pan out?
I think there's going to be a lot of tension, especially between Maximus and Cooper.
I think the tension's going to be more between Thaddeus and Cooper, because we've seen the little trailers of him going, "Hey, I'm turning into a ghoul, just waiting for Montage to drop off," and he's just like, "Shut the fuck up! I'm trying to do shit here."
I feel like I feel like Thaddeus is definitely going to get like sucker punched by Cooper, because he can handle Lucy's like very bubbly personality. I don't think he can. I don't think he can handle Thaddeus.
Yeah.
The idiocracy of Thaddeus's character.
That's it. I think Thaddeus will be the one that has the most tension between the three of them. But at the same time, I think Maximus and Cooper are going to get a bit closer in terms of their own agenda. Like, oh, I've got this fusion tech. Oh, I need to go find House, but I was supposed to give him this fusion tech XYZ ago. Maybe we should be a bit more. Thaddeus, shut up. That's how I feel. The trio dynamic is going to be Thaddeus will be the comedic relief, Maximus will be the comedic relief but trying to be serious, and Cooper's just the ghoul.
I think this trio is going to work out a lot better than the duo, since since Thaddeus and Maximus know the laws of the Wasteland. They're not
naive.
They're not naive like Lucy is. I think that Thaddeus is going to get a lot more answers about, maybe not all of them, but at least know that, no, I as a ghoul don't have a mouth growing out of my neck. That's not a thing. And then Maximus and Cooper will get along a lot better until it comes to Lucy. Because Lucy, I think, is going to have a lot of animosity towards the ghoul for, quote-unquote, betraying her, even though he didn't get to follow through on that. Whereas Maximus has this, girl on a pedestal, total, like, she's a good person type of idea of her.
The thing that is funny, they will search Lucy anyway.
Yeah.
Because Maximus search the good person, that is Lucy, but the ghoul now must be panicking because Hank have asked him to get Lucy back to the vault. He doesn't know what happened to Lucy after that. He just know she's not there anymore. He have to get her back, or what will happen to his wife and daughter.
That's it.
I think Lucy is going to get out in some fashion, as we kind of see her on. She's trying to. I would say she's trying to leave and bring Hank back to 33 for justice. I think she's going to go through kind of a, for lack of better terms, like a mental gauntlet of right and wrong before she leaves, which is now going to. It could even potentially sway her to defend her dad once they all kind of have this not so lovely reunion of everyone back together. Cooper's going to go, well, where's my wife and daughter, as we keep seeing him say time and time again. We see Lucy going, I don't know what to believe in anymore. And Maximus is like, hey, it's you again.
Matt, you said she would get out in some type of fashion. Would you consider a yellow dress some type of fashion?
Gotta go out and stall, mate.
Hard. Yes, I would say it's some kind of fashion. 50s fashion, to be specific.
That's pre-war.
There's one thing I wanted to point out with you, Matt. You're talking about Lucy defending her dad, but at the same time, she wants to take him back to 33 to face Vault Justice. And in that moment, I'm just thinking, she doesn't understand Wasteland Justice.
No.
She's only just touching it when she bloody went off at Cooper with the reloadable power fist.
Yes.
And the fact that she's in the vault saying, I'm going to take you back to Vault 33, I'm going to put you in front of the council. It's like, after everything that you've been through, you're still a naive vault girl.
Well, there's also something to consider as well. Everyone at 33 knows that Hank was kidnapped. No one knows about his atrocities. So even if she did bring him back to 33, he's still the good guy. He gets off scot-free.
I would like to imagine that. Here's my theory of what's going to go down. Hank makes it next to impossible to be taken, and Lucy, because if season 1 was the main game, season 2 is definitely the DLC, because Lucy is just starting to lose her sense of morality the more she goes, and it's basically like us as like the players, like, yeah, we want to do good, but at the same time, Wasteland is slowly changing us, and we're starting to do things that we thought were next to impossible. So I imagine that if Lucy does take Hank back, or maybe like his corpse or like evidence and stuff like that, they says like the Vault are probably going to say like, yeah, you did some good, but now you have to leave because you're no longer a Vault dweller in our eyes.
Which I think that's kind of I think that kind of got teased. Like, if that is the case, I definitely think that got a little teased in season 1, with Maximus going like, oh, well, there's this place where all these good people are, and yada yada yada, and instantly my brain was thinking back to the end of Fallout 1 going, hey buddy, you're not allowed in here. You're going to incite everybody to rebel, and we're already kind of seeing that happen with Reg, as spineless as he may be. We're kind of seeing that happen right now, where it's this power struggle, and you're going to incite violence amongst the populace. And, I think it would be a fascinating thing if Hank were brought back to 33. It would be interesting to see what happens to the power dynamic there, or, something that's still to be seen in the next 2 episodes that we have left of what's in the keepsake.
And you guys make great points there. I actually want to go around the rest of the room and see what everybody's kind of prediction is for that next episode. So, Nick, what do you think we're leading to with all that being said?
I think we're gonna actually finally find out what is in Hank's box, and I think Stephanie's probably gonna go back on her consideration deal of giving the Vault water, and I think Reg is going to have a much easier time, given how many people he's got on his side now, and that we're agreeing with him that they're tired of hearing about the Weevil famine and everything else. So I think we might see a Vault exodus pretty soon here.
Okay. Sass.
I don't do prediction. The more I can say, I think we will soon, see what happened to House. And I don't know why I have the feeling the Ghoul will do that for a reason or another. But more than that, I'm a pretty more listener than thinker about.
Okay. Daniel?
Yeah, I think we're gonna. Part of me wants to think that whatever's in the keepsake box is going to be something either lore shattering in terms of everything that's happening in the Wasteland, or it's going to be something so insignificant, and we've put all this hype behind the box, what's in the box, that we're going to be dismissing it until somewhere in season 3, where it's then going to be like, hang on a second, that was something important. But at the same time, my prediction for the end of season 2 is that House will finally get the fusion tech. That's my theory, but I think whatever's in the box is something that's only from the head of the Vault-Tec Corporation. And I've already seen some theories floating around. Some say it's access code, some say it's a holotape with the truth behind everything, and my personal interesting one is a FEV serum that's been sitting, maturing in a box for all these years. And I think that, in my opinion, what's her name? Our lovely Canadian overseer,
Stephanie,
I think she's going to try and use it in an assumption that it's going to fix her eye and put her in an elevated position above everyone else with not really understanding what the FEV is going to do. That's my thought. That's my theory for the end of the season.
I do want to add on to my prediction. I think Woody is still alive. He's going to get out of wherever he is and then crash Stephanie and Chet's wedding that Chet didn't even know about till the day before.
Surprise!
Surprise, yeah. I'd also like to add like another theory, if it's okay. The whole dynamic between Maximus, Thaddeus, and Cooper is going to reach like a full power struggle. Thaddeus is probably going to steal the cold fusion away from Maximus and Cooper because, let's be real, Thaddeus has been dragged by Maximus and Lucy season 1, and now Maximus again. Like Thaddeus just wanted to be left alone to do like his own thing in the Nuka-Cola plant and everything. And I imagine that he's going to leave. Last episode, we're going to see him with the super mutant, and he's going to say welcome brother, but welcome new member. But in my reality, seeing Thaddeus's mutation, it says like welcome new master.
He leads the new super mutant army.
And Vanya,
I always thought that he was going to be the next Harold.
Vanya, you got anything to add? What are your predictions going into this next episode?
Exo-1 King took it away from me, so I try to find something else now.
Oh no, I'm so sorry. That was not my
Yeah,
How
don't
could you,
worry.
XO? How
Right.
could you?
As they say, great minds think like wise, so don't you worry about that. Yeah, no, that's a very, very good one because like people were continuously saying like, oh, Gladys is a ghoul, Gladys is a ghoul. I'm like, no, he is not. I'm pretty certain he will rather turn into a super mutant now where we saw a super mutant as well. It seems like a very likely scenario to me that this is how he then parts wise, and then you have a very, very interesting mix up again for another season. So yeah, the writers certainly do what they're doing there in most parts. So I think we can speculate all day, and at the end of the day, we have to just watch and then see how it turns out.
And then release reaction videos.
Here we are.
Yeah, that's my prediction for next week. We release another reaction video.
Oh, we'll see how the editing process goes.
Right.
Well, with all those predictions in mind, I know we've been here for quite a while. I'd like to wrap it up with some of our favorite Easter eggs / items that show up either in the episode or the outro. And then Nick, I kind of want to start with you because I know you got one you threw at me.
The Mr. Fuzzy on Bud Askin's nerd shelf. Like, okay, so that confirms he was in West Virginia at some point because that was exclusive to Camden Park. But when I saw that Mr. Fuzzy, I just lost my shit. That was great.
I can confirm he was all about it when we were in the chat before. After the episode, first moment the mic comes on, did you see the Mr. Fuzzy?
Yeah. I'm with you on that one. Major, you got one for us?
I guess the Easter egg to me was like
Also the Mr. Fuzzy.
Okay. Real quick, that thing creeps me out, and like in the game, like 76, whenever I see that person wearing the mascot worshiping that thing, like it just terrifies the hell out of me. So no. I think for me, it's the reveal about the water chip, and Voltec like saying like, "Hey, where do you want to send these faulty water chips for?" It just feels very odd. Like, oh my god. It just feels very in character. It feels very in character and very in universe, but it kind of diminished the magic of like, okay, now the Vault Dwellers mission was manifest destiny, or like predetermined. It just makes it feel like it loses the magic, I guess.
Gotcha. Vanya, we'll go to you next.
I think for the sake of that, I will just go for that. I see a completely out of context that to some degree when the super mutant arrives in Freezer to pick up the Ghoul, Cooper Howard. It looks so much like scenes from the new Frankenstein movie that I kind of feel like they kind of give a little side wink with it, because just how much it looks like him, where I'm like, hey, wait a minute. Also like the why he was like approaching it and walking, it seems very, very similar. So just for the sake of picking something a little bit different, I will pick that one.
All right, Sass, what do you got for us?
I will be a bit on the same side as the Major, because the whole scene, at all of everything, we know she have sold the vault as you can make the experience you want, but then this all, oh, we can do that, and that's all the things we encounter in the games, and that made me laugh. Not in my side.
Somewhere. That's all right. And Daniel, to wrap us up.
I found the research and development signs as we were panning out from the Bub's office to be a major Easter egg. The fact that it wasn't just the R&D for the water chip, but the R&D for the vault doors. Because you got to remember, these doors were not meant to malfunction, and yet you had the one deliberate malfunction which resulted in Necropolis out in the boneyard. And the fact that it's just showing that they came up with all sorts of contingencies in R&D to explore the bloody experiments that they were running.
Or it can reveal that maybe Norm was the one that opened the door to the vault that let the raiders in.
No, I'm talking about with the fact that the water chip has been proven to be a 33% faulty rate. What's to say that during the R&D that they discovered, oh, this vault door at these vaults are not going to work properly. Hey, can we twist them into an experiment as well now? Because if they can do it with the water chips, what else were they researching and discovered? Hey, we can use this as a experiment as well.
Which one you want?
I mean, there's other. I mean, I could go into the lore of the other vaults where they only processed a grey gruel for food in one vault, and the other vault didn't have a proper synthesizer for clothing. It just opens the door now to all these possibilities that everything that was an experiment wasn't an experiment at all. It was just faulty products. But yeah, I'll leave it off with that.
And then Matt, sorry, to wrap us up.
Oh, you're all good. I don't know if anyone caught this, but when we were back at the beginning, well, I guess it wasn't necessarily the beginning of the episode, but at some point in the episode where we saw the fight between the NCR member that we saw earlier in the season and the Legion member, did anyone catch that what the button was on was a piece of Institute technology?
Yes, I did bring that up after our little watch party. And I can only pick one of two things. It's either A, it is Institute technology that was pre-war in design, or it's just simply a fabricated piece of machinery that the Institute exclusively used post-war.
We also know that the Enclave, at least the link between Fallout 3 and Fallout 4 is we know that the Enclave was working with the Institute at one point, or at least still was. I'm not entirely sure. I'd have to do more research on that one, but I found that a little interesting Easter egg for that, as well as Thaddeus bringing up the fact that he was from the Boneyard. I thought was an interesting little nod, going like, okay. It'd be fascinating to see from going on, seeing his character progress, especially with his ghoulification happening at the same time as Coop's. I'm curious if the vials are now going to be a point of contention. Just my thoughts.
Those are all pretty deep. I'm a horse guy, so when I saw the Giddy Up Buttercup, the Mr. Fuzzy completely went off the radar. I was like, Buttercup.
It was the proper size Giddy Up Buttercup too.
Right.
It was.
Pristine. Even with the rest of that place wrecked, that office was pristine.
Who's the guy
They
from
did
the
a
slog?
fantastic job on all the props in the show. Like, as somebody who works a lot with the props and mods, like they've done a fantastic job in replicating them and like making them look like 1-to-1 from the games. So
Give it a few
Totally
months,
see
we'll
that.
get them on the market.
Yeah.
Wait, who's the guy from the slog? The one that made, I can't remember his name. for the
Arlen
life-
Glass.
Yes. I was thinking of him when I saw that Buttercup all put together, and I'm like, he would be so happy.
You know, I'm kind of surprised that since Cooper's like the cowboy of Hollywood, like he wasn't like chosen as like the promotional piece for the Giddy Up Buttercup.
I'm pretty sure they'll do that eventually.
I was just about to say, yet. He hasn't been.
Because you know,
yet.
you've seen the Vault Tech endorsement commercials. Then as we go into Vegas, all of a sudden we're getting Vault 30 Lucky 30 the Lucky 38 advertisements. What's to say the next season's going to start off with, "Hi, I'm Cooper, and when I'm traversing across the wasteland in my story, I have my trusty steed, Buttercup. You can get yours today for $499.95 in 4 installments. Buy today."
An Australian cowboy accent was not on my bingo card for today, but
Well, I said, boy, there's a lot of things that I can do that will tick off all the bingo cards.
Oh, that is perfect.
That's the next bingo card is Australian Foghorn Leghorn.
Yep, I was going to put that on mine. But
I was trying to go for a more Colonel Sanders, but all right, I can go with Foghorn Leghorn.
Put Foghorn Leghorn right next to Yosemite Sam, both Australian.
I can't do Yosemite Sam. I'll have to try and practice that one if I can get the vocals working.
What a way to end an episode.
Yes.
I say, what a way to end this episode. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for your entertainment pleasure.
well, everybody, with that said, I want to thank you all for joining us on this episode of the Dungeon Dwellers Adventures, and I want to give a special thanks to all of our guests for taking the enormous amount of time to be here. But before we go, I want to know where we can find each of you on social media. I think we should start with our new guests. Vanya?
I'm on Instagram, on Blue Sky, on Twitch, of course, and YouTube, and I think that's it. I know that there's fakes on Twitter of me, so yeah,
You made it.
Yeah, I made it. So yeah, if you see anything on Twitter, don't trust that one. Maybe. Yeah. I think that's all I have, actually. I'm not too sure. It was a big back and forth lately because EU laws and like how social media has changed and such. It was a big tumultuous few years. So yeah.
And we can find you under the name Just Vanya?
Yeah, that's basically everywhere. Just Vanya or Just Vanya 76. When Just Vanya is already taken, then it's usually Just Vanya 76.
Awesome. And Daniel?
Well, you can find me under, I'm not much of a social media person, but I do have a Twitter account under the name of LT_shadow_AU, or you can find me on Blue Sky at Indomitus Aussie.
Good luck trying to spell that. Sassanash.
You can actually find me on Sassanash World on almost any media, Tumblr, Blue Sky, Instagram, Twitter, sadly. And I have my Twitch channel with the same Sassanash World. Sassanash World.
And I want to give a special shout out to the project we are working on. Sass is the director for the Incorrect Fallout 4 quotes, of which I believe a couple of us are voice acting for.
Yeah, I think we made it.
Yeah, I think we made it. We're
Yes, technically,
We're just waiting
but
on those damn animators.
you can't even imagine behind the scenes how is it actually this
No.
kind of hunt to find the animators.
Yeah, we'll get there. And,
Yes.
Matt,
Yep. You guys can find me on Instagram under at Moko_Loco03, or if you're looking for more cosplay oriented content, you can find me at V as in Victor Doormat on Instagram as well.
awesome. And Major Stein,
You can find me over in the Modus Files Discord under the same handle, and as well as Blue Sky
under the same
I should have
handle.
put the
under the
Discord
same
for you as
handle.
well.
Sorry.
Okay. And then finally, Nick.
Well, I'm Lazarus of Death on just about every platform you can think of, except Twitter. I don't have a Twitter anymore, but Instagram, Discord, and Xbox, you can find me as Lazarus of Death. And then I'm gonna get ready to start a Twitch here pretty soon with the same handle. It's already in place. I just need to start streaming more, getting there. And as far as the incorrect quotes for Fallout 4, gonna be Nick Valentine.
Yes, sir.
Hopefully, I still make a good Nick Valentine.
And
No.
you mentioned it, but why don't you give another shout out to the Modus Files and what they're about?
Actually, I'm gonna let Shadow do that one this time since I've already done it twice.
All right, let's do that.
All right, just putting me on the spot there. Thank you.
Gobsmacked.
Oh, what can I say? You know, the Modus Files Discord. What more can I really say on that?
Modusfiles.com.
Hang on. I gotta pull up the bloody website now. I can't even.
So
Dee, thanks for giving me the script.
Yeah, right.
You can find us on the
That's fine for next week.
modusfiles.com.
Yep.
Links all there for not only the website but our Discord. So if you're a fan of what we do, enjoy our podcast audio drama. That's on Spotify as well. Pop in, say hello. And thanks, Nick, for putting me on the bloody spot.
You're welcome, buddy.
I'll make
And-
sure to come around and give you some knife appreciation.
And with that, we will see you all in the next one.
All right. Have a good night, guys.
Have a good night.
Some people say a man is made out of mud. A poor man's made out of muscle and blood. Muscle and blood and skin and bones. A mind that's weak and a back that's strong. You load 16 tons. What do you get? Another day older and deeper in debt. St. Peter, don't you call me 'cause I can't go. I owe my soul to the company.
Green, slowly heating up weather after. What the
Okay,
heck?
Dylan, you have to. Dylan, you
caught
have
me
to
off
say you're a
guard,
special
Dylan.
kind of stupid, aren't you?
I'm a special kind of stupid.